Captain Marcus Reed descended into the cargo hold of the derelict vessel, his boots clanging against the metal grating. The ship had been drifting for 3 weeks, according to the navigation logs, power failing, life support barely functional. His boarding team had cleared the upper decks and found nothing but abandoned stations and cold meals left half-eaten. Whatever had happened here had happened fast. The hold was dark, lit only by the beam of his helmet lamp. Shipping containers lined the walls, their magnetic locks disengaged and hanging open. Most were empty. The air tasted stale and carried an odd metallic tongue that made his skin prickle. Then he heard it, breathing, slow and deliberate, coming from the far corner behind a stack of supply crates. Marcus raised his sidearm and advanced. His finger rested against the trigger guard as he rounded the crates and swept his light across the space beyond. A woman sat against the bulkhead, arms raised above her head. Thick titanium shackles bound her wrists to a reinforced beam that ran the length of the compartment. Similar restraints locked her ankles to anchor points in the deck. The chains were the kind used to secure dangerous cargo during high-gravity maneuvers, heavy enough to hold a combat mech. She was human, or appeared to be. Dark hair hung across her face in matted strands. Her clothes were torn and stained, hanging loose on a frame that looked half-starved. But her eyes were alert when she lifted her head to meet his gaze. Clear and impossibly green. "Please," she said, her voice hoarse but steady. "Don't free me." Marcus lowered his weapon slightly. "You're chained up in a dead ship. I'm here to help." "No." She shook her head, the chains rattling with the movement. "You don't understand. The shackles are not punishment. They are protection." "Protection from what?" "From me." Marcus studied her face, looking for signs of trauma or delusion. Captives sometimes identified with their captors, convinced themselves they deserved imprisonment. He had seen it before. "Who put you here?" "I did." She leaned her head back against the bulkhead, eyes closing for a moment. "The crew helped, but it was my choice. My requirement. That doesn't make sense." "It will." Her eyes opened again, fixing on him with an intensity that made him take an involuntary step back. "If you value the lives of everyone on your ship, you will leave me here and seal this hold. Vent it to space if you can. But do not remove these chains." Marcus tapped his comb. "Read to team. I've got a survivor in the cargo hold. Female, restrained. Need medical down here." "Negative on medical," the woman said quickly. "Negative on everything. Just go. I'm not leaving you chained in the dark. Then you are a fool, and you will doom us all." Before Marcus could respond, his cum crackled. Lieutenant Park's voice came through, tight with tension. "Captain, we've got a problem. Found the crew. Or what's left of them. Report. They're in the engineering section. All 23 of them dead. Bodies are torn apart, sir. Looks like something ripped through here like a hurricane." Marcus felt ice spread through his chest. He looked at the woman. She was watching him with something that might have been pity. "How long ago?" He asked into the cum. "Hard to say. Maybe 2 weeks. The cold preserved them somewhat." 2 weeks. The ship had been drifting for 3. He did the math in his head and didn't like the answer. Understood. Maintain position and keep alert. "I'll be up shortly." He cut the channel and crouched down, bringing himself to eye level with the prisoner. "What happened to them?" "I did." The words were simple, factual, without emotion or remorse. "Explain." She drew a slow breath. "I am not entirely human, Captain. My genetic structure was altered before I was born, part of a military program that no longer officially exists. They wanted soldiers who could survive anything, adapt to any environment, overcome any enemy. They succeeded better than they intended. Enhanced strength, reflexes, among other things. She pulled against the chains slightly, and he saw the way the metal groaned under the pressure. When I am calm, I am as you see me, weak from hunger and confinement. But when the change comes, there is nothing human left. Only hunger and rage, and the need to destroy everything in reach. Marcus stood up, hand drifting back to his weapon. The change, it comes with stress, with fear, with anger, sometimes with nothing at all. Her voice dropped to barely above a whisper. I can feel it now, at the edges. Your arrival has agitated something deep in my brain chemistry. The presence of new prey. I'm not prey. Everyone is prey, Captain. You, your crew, every living thing on your ship. She met his eyes again, and he saw something move behind them, something that made every instinct scream at him to run. This crew knew what I was. They volunteered to transport me to a containment facility on Titan. We were 3 days out when I felt the change coming. I warned them. They locked me down here with every restraint they had. And it wasn't enough. The first time, I broke free. Killed 6 of them before the sedatives took effect. They rebuilt the restraints. Stronger. Used the emergency forge to create these shackles. She rattled the chains again. It held through 2 more episodes. But the third time, I was stronger. Faster. I broke the welds on the deck anchors. The chains held my wrists, but I had enough reach to get to the door. Marcus could picture it. The thing she became, dragging chains and anchor points, smashing through the hold doors and into the corridors beyond. The crew running, trying to seal bulkheads, knowing what was coming. How did you end up back here? I remember fragments, images, screaming, blood on my hands, and pain. She nodded down at her body. They hurt me badly. Weapons fire. Improvised explosives. They knew the only way to stop the monster was to damage the body enough that it could not continue. When I finally changed back, I was here. Someone had re-welded the anchors. Reinforced them. I found a data pad they left. A final message. What did it say? That they hoped whoever found me would be smart enough to leave me here. That I was too dangerous to save. That mercy would mean death for others. A tear ran down her cheek, the first sign of emotion he had seen. They were good people, Captain. They died protecting the universe from me. Marcus stood in silence, weighing options. His orders were clear. Rescue survivors. But was this a rescue or a prison break? He looked at the chains, at the woman they held, at the determination in her eyes. How long can you last without food or water? Weeks, possibly. The modifications make me resilient. But eventually, I will die. And that is acceptable. I could bring you supplies. Keep you alive while we find a solution. There is no solution. Her voice hardened. I have lived with this for 8 years. I have tried everything. Medication, meditation, neural implants, behavioral conditioning. Nothing stops the change. Nothing controls it. The best minds in human space have studied me and found no answers. I am a failed experiment that cannot be fixed. But you can be contained. Perhaps. But every time someone tries, people die. How many deaths will you accept on the chance that maybe this time will be different? She leaned forward as far as the chains allowed. I am begging you, Captain. Not as a prisoner, but as a human being who knows what she is. Seal this hold. Let me die here. It is the only kindness left. Marcus turned away, walking a few steps toward the exit. His mind raced through possibilities, protocols, regulations. He thought about his crew, about the people depending on him to make the right call. He thought about the 23 bodies cooling in the engineering section. Then he thought about the woman chained in the darkness, asking for death because it was the only way to protect others. He tapped his comb. Read to bridge. Prepare to disengage from the derelict. We're leaving in 10 minutes. What about the survivor, sir? There are no survivors. Log it as a total loss. Unknown catastrophic event. He turned back to the woman. She was watching him with those impossibly green eyes, something like gratitude flickering across her features. I will mark these coordinates, he said quietly. I will report what I found here. There are people who might be able to help. Better containment. Better research. But that decision is above my authority and beyond my capability. For now, you stay here. As you requested. Thank you. He reached into his pack and pulled out 3 ration bars and 2 water pouches. He placed them on the deck, just within her reach. I won't sentence you to starvation, but I won't free you either. She nodded slowly. You are wise, Captain. Wiser than I had hoped. Marcus walked toward the exit, then paused at the threshold. What's your name? Emma. Emma Cole. I'm sorry, Emma Cole. I'm sorry this happened to you. I'm sorry I can't do more. You have done enough. You listened. You believed. And you made the right choice. She settled back against the bulkhead. Now go. Before the hunger takes me again. Marcus sealed the hold door and set the lock to command override. As he climbed back toward his ship, he could still see her in his mind. The woman in chains. The monster in human skin. The prisoner who had begged to remain captive. He would file his report. He would mark the coordinates. And he would hope that someone, somewhere, had better answers than he did. But he suspected they would not.